Because we're not just bound by the laws of biology, we have evolved conscience to even debate morality. So because we're like, yeah, we're superior in these ways, shouldn't we prove how like top shit we are by saying, I have the choice to harm and kill, but I'm going to not choose that choice, because no other species can really do that. So that's kind of what separates us from the rest.
It would be better in terms of like, you know, you have all these cows and these giant farming, you know, it's causing mass methane.
Yeah, as well, that's a massive problem.
Probably in the long run would probably be a huge benefit for everybody.
And see, on that note, actually,
the methane or something like that.
Yeah, there's more greenhouse gases in all forms of transport combined. Like fucking cow farts. It's unbelievable.
Everybody seems to be thinking, oh yeah, it's cars that are doing this.
Man, it's misinformation, deliberate misinformation. But we're also like, I don't know how you guys are feeling, we're also like in a serious predicament here with climate change. Like we're in a climate change emergency. Like you're seeing shit every day, every week on the news of fires and floods and freakish rain. Turkey, Greece, China, even in London in the subways and stuff.
That's the thing. So at the end of the day, there's only so much that we can do.
But animal agriculture is speeding this shit up too. It plays a massive role. So
in reality, a large part of the problem isn't on the individual in society. It's on the massive corporations.
I feel like it's both though. It is them, but we can't give all the blame to them and say
of course.
It's just them.
The problem is
we should do both.
You can do. I mean, you can do a lot of good to help with that, but at the same time, I mean, the agriculture business makes the government so much money.
It does, yeah.
Anytime soon.
Well, I mean,
a strong argument that would make them money as well.
Well, this is why there's such a thing as like activism. I mean, there's a reason why you can't go into, well, why you can go into Greg's, McDonald's, Burger King, Boojum, pick any fast food chain, Subway, and there's vegan options there. That's because activists have changed the public's perception on what's like tasty, what's practical, like what's ethical, and like we are changing things. Like we're definitely changing things. You can't like look at society and not say that there's no changes been happening. So yeah, they're not going to give up easy. They're going to fight like tooth and nail to stay in business.
Between somewhere where we can have meat alternatives everywhere and completely try and meat, but at the same time you need to just give the government a proposal which still makes them zero much money.
So that meat should still be something that should be an option.
I mean, to me, you know, we've got meat and we've got like tradition, culture, all these reasons, right? But black and white, when you strip the concepts away, to produce meat, which I prefer to say flesh of a dead animal, because it's the real reality, and that's the way, that's where I'm coming at it from. It's like, well, like let's be real about it. Like, aren't we claiming to like want a better world, to make the world a better place, to create more peace and harmony? So if we want all that shit, let's be practical. And it's not just meat, by the way. It's
you're taking options,
so much more.
The choice away from people then.
So personal choice. My response to personal choice is when you choose to eat animal flesh, you're taking the choice away from the animal to simply exist. So you're saying that my taste, the choice that I make for my taste buds, is so much more important than you, that I'm going to end your life for my personal choice. Do you know what I mean?
It's often very hard for people to see it that way.
It's so hard, man, because people are so brainwashed.
You know, we live
we're also, like, 100%. We're deeply brainwashed. Like, I mean, I'm going to be the first to admit that I was totally, man, I grew up and I always had like hamsters and goldfish, and I had a dog, and I'd rescue like beetles in the garden, and I'd give like bees water and shit. But then I'd be like eating a dead bird in some bread. And like, do you know what I mean? It's so bizarre. It's not just meat as well, right? So in the dairy industry, for example, they shoot like nearly all the baby male calves shortly after birth because they won't produce milk, because they can't make money off them because they're male, and they will never have udders and produce milk. Like, just because they're male, they kill them at birth. Like, what do you guys think of that? That's messed up. Like, that's for milk. And then there's eggs. See, in the first day of life, male chicks, like, because they never lay eggs, they put them in a grinder, an industrial grinder, and just blitz them alive. That's RSPCA humane certified. Like, does that sound very humane? Do you know what I mean? See, when you start peeling back the layers and see how deep all this shit goes, it's really dark, and it's really just wrapped up in deception and social engineering and propaganda. Like, you can't go that far without seeing an advert for like a big burger or a steak or like the wings of a bird deep fried. And like, you have to bear in mind as well, vegans have nothing to gain I'm not making any money off just telling the truth to people. But these industries have so much money to gain if they can keep you like an uncritically thinking customer, and to realise, like, to me it's about the animals, right? But it's so much better for your health as well. Like, it's not plants that are giving people cancer and heart disease and fucking clogged arteries, and do you know what I mean? Yeah, we did evolve to eat meat, but we also evolved to eat so much more than that. Do you know what I mean? And we can. So I just think, like, would any of you guys kill a dog and eat a dog? Like, if you went to Tesco's and they were suddenly doing Labrador steaks, would you be like, I'm happy to try that?
Enough of an uproar about that.
You would try that?
A couple years ago.
That wouldn't bother you?
No, I feel like if we're eating one animal.
Yeah. So at least you're being logically consistent. Generally, the sentiment with the rest is like, that freaks you out. So I'd be more of that, but I respect where you're coming from, because you got to be consistent across the board. So there is that difference as well in people's perception of like what's either it's all or it's not, you know, and I appreciate that, but I just think, like, ultimately, if we don't have to, what's our best excuse? And it's either going to be pleasure, convenience, tradition, culture, or taste. And then it's like, are they good enough justifications for causing such immense amounts of suffering?
The only one that would really carry forward would probably be culture and tradition, because when you think about like taste and pleasure, you know, you can recreate that.
I think it's more culturally important than what meat you eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, if you go, for example, the Zulus in South Africa, it's cultural to become a man. In some places, you'll have to go and fight and kill a lion.
Yeah. Are you talking about like proper in the wild though?
Well, I've seen it where near where I lived, in fact, there was a Zulu sort of, I don't know, like a commune.
Like, what I'm trying to get at it there is those people living by those.
No, but
like,
they could walk to Spar.
Yeah, they could. Right. So then I would say, like, well, if you're asking me where I sit on the moral spectrum of that, if they have an alternative, then you can't justify that.
But if they go to
Spar, a man thing is kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, that's toxic masculinity bullshit. That's what that is. If they're genuinely in a tribe far removed from like places where they can buy alternatives,
thousands of years of what they've done.
Yeah, which makes it worse, does it not? That we've literally relied on the backs of animals since time began. Like, now it's like we actually live in an era where we have the choice to make a change there.
Cultures are.
We've never been so privileged in history before, where we can actually change the culture, and like everything changes. Tell me one thing you know in reality that never changes.
Exactly.
Change is the nature of reality itself, and like just because something has been happening a long enough time, is that in and of itself like a good enough excuse to like keep it going? Like, at one time it was culturally normal to beat your wife. That was culture, but we have progressed morally. So like, why should we resist and try and put up a fight with like this here? Like, animals feel pain and suffer, and we know that. It's just like, you guys obviously feel like they matter morally to some degree, because if you say that they don't, then that's where you can justify anything, any type of treatment. But I'd be very cautious of people that think that way. Like, I mean, why do animals not matter morally? Do you know what I mean? So have I convinced any of you guys to actually like change?
I'm not gonna.
I don't know. I mean,
because that's really what it's about.
I would advocate towards non-meat alternative, but at the same time, I wouldn't.
Do you feel like a part of your identity is tied to like eating animals, or?
Where I stand in it is, I completely agree with you on like it's fucked up, like cows and shit being produced like that.
Unnecessary violence, like.
Most of the meat I eat is hunted. So.
But you don't have to kill animals.
I understand that, but.
So what's your justification?
I don't know. It's just
morally superior, but not morally correct.
What you've always done. What you've always done.
And it's just biology.
So I'm trying to get you to think about that, and you say, well, it's just what I've always done. But is it right though?
Well, in my mind, it's just
put yourself in the animal's position. If someone wanted to put an arrow through your chest or a bullet in your head and they didn't have to, if that was you, how would that make you feel to know someone was...
but like...
I'm trying to get you to use empathy to connect with the animal that you're killing for no reason.
No, I completely understand that, but in my mind, hunting is better than...
I think it's better. I
don't even think it's better than. I think it's the language is flipped 180. It's like, it's not as worse. But it's still worse though. It's still worse than the other option that you always have to not kill.
Yeah, but at least in that environment, the animal could theoretically turn around and stick its horns into you.
Yeah, but because hunters like to say that hunting is like a sport, right? But it's not a sport because it's not an equal playing field.
Yeah,
they are being preyed on. They don't have crossbows. Do you know what I mean? You're sort of like setting them up
but humans
to
are
lose.
Also natural predators. That's where our
We're natural predators.
That's why our eyes are on the front.
We're natural predators.
Dictate what we should, and they just like
Yeah,
technically are.
that is an appeal to nature. And if we think about appeals to nature, right? In nature, like some animals, like eat their babies. Some animals rape other animals. So I could say like, well, it's only natural. So, and you could actually make the argument throughout evolution that rape was part of nature for us to be here today. But do you see how crazy it gets when you start to like appeal to nature?
It's definitely an interesting argument.
Yeah.
I just feel like it doesn't hold up under the moral, like the lens. If we, because we should investigate and say like, a lot of things on the surface seem like great ideas, but when we actually like think about them, you know, you can poke a hole in anything if you're looking for it. But really, what I'm concerned with is it right morally? Like, do we have a good reason to do that? And if you're saying there you're hunting because we've always done that, like there's so many things that we've always done that's just really wrong, isn't there?
Well, like the entirety of human history has been hunting. Before farming, there was hunting.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. But do we need to do it now?
That's the omnivorous thing.
Do we need to hunt anymore?
Like, there's no need.
Like, do hunters use a mobile phone? Did our previous hunters have an Instagram account?
Yeah,
did they get an Uber?
Yeah.
Did they fly in planes? No. So this is how ridiculous it is when we try to pick this one thing that we used to do when we don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, do we live in caves?
We were hunters by necessity.
Do you know what I mean? We like to think that we are like still these. Like,
even back then,
you know
the humans
what I mean?
all those years ago, like hundreds.
They were
of thousands
absolute
of years
savages.
ago, yeah, they were like complete differently. Like their brains weren't finished developing.
Yeah. It's true.
To be fair, we're not much better now. We just have more technology.
We're not much better
we're
now.
Still murderers.
Yeah. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the honesty. Yeah.
We're still just savages.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, for us to talk about being the cream of the crop and the pinnacle of all creation, like, you know what we're the best at? We have literally perfected the art of killing.
Yeah.
Like, that we spend more money in the world anything else on like the military and bombs and
the
like
amount of money that like places like America spend in the military.
It's like a tenth of their military defense budget per year could like eradicate poverty. That's how insane we are as a species. Do you know what I mean? That's like, what other species do you know is that bad?
And you have like thousands of nukes all over the world that are just ready to
go, and all the animals are just peacefully like, all right, there is some animals that kill other animals, but the majority of animals in the world are herbivores. You know what I mean? Look at like silverback gorillas and rhinos, like big tough strong animals. They eat plants.
Those animals that do have to hunt, they're not in the same position.
They don't have the luxury of choice.
Like by biology, they
100%. They're obligate carnivores. We're not obligate. You know what I mean? We maybe once were, but we're not obliged to kill anymore. And I just think that's a great position to be in. Like that bird, would you kill and eat that bird for no reason?
Oh, might look kind of tasty.
But if you didn't have to?
No, if I didn't have to, I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, so that's my whole argument. We don't have to. What if, let me see, give you guys like a card. You're your own guy, you guys are friends, so, like, there's a bunch of different resources there. I seen this speech. It's called The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear. It's on YouTube. And it convinced me to go vegan and stop eating animals because I just couldn't argue with with all the arguments that were put forth. Like, man, you're on a jumper that says find love and spread peace. Do you know what I mean? I'm only noticing that now. You cannot be about that life and be putting arrows in the chests of animals. And I'm just saying, it's very hard to justify, like, and I feel like you would at least agree with that. It's hard to justify it.
No, it is terribly difficult to justify.
And it's so easy to justify being vegan because you're like, I am peaceful, I am loving, I respect nature. Do you know what I mean? So check out the resources. I think Seaspiracy's there. There's Cowspiracy. That's all land-based science for land animals and stuff. Talks about the environment. But The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear was what inspired me to go vegan. And I'm just out trying to inspire other people because I feel like animals matter morally and they can't speak up for themselves. And we should do some shit about that. Chaps, you've been awesome, and thanks for giving me your time of day. If any is inspired to like make some changes, hit me up on Instagram. Just let me know. I'm happy to do a bit more of a discussion and stuff as well. Thanks very much.
That's good.
Much respect.
Lot to think about.
Really appreciate it, guys.
It's definitely a lot
Cheers,
to think about.
cheers.
Cheers, man.
Man, respect. Have a great day. Woo! Let's see. That was pretty tight. Pretty tight.